Hello lovelies, welcome back to Moments with Bia, where we initiate change with purpose. Today I want to talk to you about jealousy during infertility and what to do about it. But before we dive into the content, make sure you subscribe so you get notified every time I post a new video, which is every Wednesday. And the way to do that is to click the notified button right next to the subscribe button. Now, before you continue watching this video, there's one thing I want you to keep in mind as you're watching, and that is jealousy during infertility is natural. It is part of human nature. It is absolutely normal to feel jealous as you go through your infertility journey. In fact, it can be very difficult not to feel jealous the longer you're on your infertility journey and you start feeling like you're the only woman that is unable to get pregnant, and all of your friends around you, even strangers, seem to be able to conceive and have children. Now, I know when I was going through infertility, about 9 months to a year into it, I started feeling jealous towards other women who were pregnant. And it seemed like everybody around me who was a woman was getting pregnant. Every time I would go to the coffee shop, it seemed like all the pregnant ladies decided to have coffee. Every time I would go to an event, it seemed like all the pregnant women decided to come out to the event. All of my friends were getting pregnant, and it was just so overwhelming. Now, this is definitely a little bit of an exaggeration, but you do get the point. It can be very difficult as you go through your infertility journey to not compare yourself with other women who are pregnant and to not feel jealous. So thoughts like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant and I can't get pregnant. Thoughts like, why is she able to conceive with so little to really like no problem at all? And I have all these struggles to get pregnant, and I'm still not able to have a child. Also, what's more, is that if you see a woman who is pregnant and she already has a child with her or children, you start feeling like, oh my gosh, she's on her third pregnancy and I can't even get one child. I can't even get pregnant with one child. So these are the kind of thoughts that are going through your head, and if you're watching this video, you probably know what I'm talking about. And although they sound silly when you say them out loud, although they're thoughts that you don't necessarily want to either admit to having or want to discuss or share with others that you're having, they do go through your head. And I just want you to know that it is absolutely normal. Now, the only thing that you want to actually be cautious of is that as you start feeling jealous, when that point of your infertility journey actually reaches you, and you do feel jealous, just acknowledge the emotion of jealousy itself and make sure that you do something about it, because jealousy also kind of pulls on these other emotions of guilt and shame. And it seems to actually be feeding off of guilt and shame, because the more you feel jealous, the more you start feeling guilty about feeling jealous. And you start feeling ashamed because you feel jealous, because now you feel almost like you're a bad person. You shouldn't be jealous of other women who are pregnant, especially for something like that. When a woman is pregnant and she's going through that experience, it's a beautiful thing, and you feel like you should be happy for her, not jealous of her. So, but again, please remember that it is normal to feel that, but you do want to address it. And so, when I went through infertility and when I started feeling jealous about other women and I started comparing myself to other women who are pregnant, which basically as soon as you start comparing yourself to other women who are pregnant, the emotion of jealousy starts being full force and active. And so it's just a matter of time before you are actually able to acknowledge it for what it is and then address it, do something about it. But when as soon as I started noticing that I was feeling jealous, and that jealousy started growing in intensity, I knew that I wanted to do something about it, but I didn't know how to address that. It can be very difficult it is difficult as it is going through infertility. And now you have to kind of watch yourself and be careful and address all these emotions that are kind of coming to you as you're going through infertility. It can be very difficult. So in this video, and if you're watching, if you're following my channel, and if you have watched other videos on this channel, you know that I like to focus more on what you do about infertility, what you do about all these struggles that you may have as you go through infertility, rather than focusing on the struggles themselves. So I do like to acknowledge the struggles. Yes, they're there. Yes, they're difficult. But the more important thing for me to convey through these videos is what you do about those struggles. And I always start from my personal experience. When I went through infertility, I didn't have a lot of the resources to deal with the emotional struggles with infertility. And so I started doing that. I started sort of developing a system for myself to help myself basically navigate through these struggles with infertility. And so now I'm sharing that with you, but it would have been really helpful if I had some kind of a starting point or some kind of a direction when I was going through my struggles with infertility. But in any case, the emotion of jealousy, the way I addressed it was that I went back to the very basic of the emotion itself. And what that means is, first of all, I acknowledged the fact that I was feeling jealous. And I acknowledged the fact that that is normal. Whether it felt normal or not, I just acknowledged it, and I simply stated that yes, I am feeling jealous, and yes, I am acknowledging that I'm feeling jealous, and I'm also acknowledging that it is normal to feel jealous as I'm going through infertility. And then the next thing was to acknowledge the emotion itself and to basically tackle go to the bottom of that emotion. So I simply decided to answer these two questions. Number one, who am I jealous of? And number two, what am I jealous of? And so, although it seemed very obvious, right? Like I'm jealous of my friend or that stranger that I saw today or whatever, and I'm jealous because she's pregnant and she's gonna have a baby and I still cannot conceive. So I still wanted to sort of write it down, and I wanted to physically and actively do something about this emotion, and to make myself feel like I'm doing something about it, I needed to do a physical activity. And that was for me to sit down and write down the answer to these two questions. And then immediately after that, the way I wanted to simply address jealousy was to kind of come back with something completely opposite of the emotion of jealousy. And I wrote down a question and then I answered it. And the question was, how would I feel if I was pregnant right now? And when I was answering that question, it took me a while, but I wanted to come from a standpoint of me not going through infertility. So I had to basically take the fact that I was going through infertility and that was part of my life and just sort of put it aside for a second and don't think about it. Just simply really focus on how I would feel if I was pregnant right now. And so I wrote down that. And where that was really, really helpful, and where I hope that it will be really, really helpful for you too, is that every time I felt jealous of somebody, or every time I would see a woman who was pregnant or hear of a friend who got pregnant, and I started feeling jealous, I would immediately try to go back to the feeling of how I would feel if I was pregnant at that moment. And the first time, nothing much really happened. The second time, nothing much really happened. But then the more I did it, the more I was able to simply tune right into that feeling as soon as I started feeling jealous. And what happened eventually was that the emotion of jealousy started sort of diminishing to the point where I didn't really feel, maybe I felt jealous a little bit, right? It doesn't go away. I don't think it ever goes away as long as you're going through infertility. But I was able to pretty much diminish that emotion to the point where it didn't bother me. It was no longer tormenting me, right? And making me feel guilty or ashamed. It was just something that was there, but it had no power over me. And by sharing this with you, I really hope that you try this and that that it helps you as well. So if you try this, if you decide to try this, do it for at least like a week or 2 weeks and see how you feel. See if it has any impact on your life as you go through infertility. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And also let me know below in the comments, do you feel jealous as you go through infertility? How do you deal with jealousy? Do you have a thing that you do or a technique that you use that helps you during moments that you feel jealous as you go through your infertility? I would love to know, so please let me know below in the comments. And between now and the next video, don't forget to initiate change with purpose in every area of your life, including infertility. And I will see you in the next video. Ciao!